President, last month you came to St. Louis to announce a very lucrative contract for McDonnell Douglas to build F-15s for Saudi Arabia. In today's Post-Dispatch, a retired saleswoman, a 75-year-old woman named Marjorie Roberts, asked if she could ask a question of the candidate, said she wanted to register her concern about the lack of a plan to convert our defense-oriented industries into other purposes. How would you answer her?
Well, I assume she was supportive of the decision on McDonnell Douglas. I assume she was supporting me on the decision to sell those airplanes. I think it's a good decision. Took a little heat for it, but I think it was the correct decision to do, and we worked it out. And indeed, we're moving forward all around the world in a much more peaceful way. So that one we came away with, which in creating jobs for the American people. I would simply say to her, look, take a look at what the president has proposed on job retraining. When you cut back on defense spending, some people are going to be thrown out of work. If you throw another 50,000 kids on the street because of cutting recklessly in troop levels, you're going to put a lot more out on work. I would say to them, look at the job retraining programs that we're proposing. Therein is the best answer to her. And another one is stimulate investment in savings. I mean, we've got big economic problems, but we are not coming apart at the seams. We're ready for a recovery with interest rates down and inflation down, the cruelest tax of all, caught up in a global slowdown right now, but that will change if you go with the programs I've talked about and if you help with job retraining and education. I am a firm believer that our America 2000 education problem is the answer. A little longer run, it's going to take a while to educate, but it is a good program. So her best hope for short term is job retraining if she was thrown out of work at a defense plant. But tell her it's not all that gloomy. We're the United States. We faced tough problems before. Look at the misery index when the Democrats had both the White House and the Congress. It was just right through the roof. Now, we can do better, and the way to do better is not to tax and spend, but to retrain, get that control of the mandatory spending programs. I am much more optimistic about this country than some.
Mr. Perot? Mr. Perot, you have 1 minute, sir.
Well, your defense industries are going to have to convert to civilian industries. Many of them are. And the sooner they start, the sooner they'll finish. And there will be a significant transition. And it's very important that we not continue to let our industrial base deteriorate. We had someone who I'm sure regrets said it in the president's staff, said he didn't care whether we made potato chips or computer chips. Well, anybody that thinks about it cares a great deal. Number one, you make more making computer chips than you do potato chips. Number two, 19 out of 20 computer chips that we have in this country now come from Japan. We've given away whole industries. So as we phase these industries over, there's a lot of intellectual talent in these industries. A lot of these people and industries can be converted to the industries of tomorrow. And that's where the high-paying jobs are. We need to have a very carefully thought-through phase over. Now, we practice 19th century capitalism. The rest of the world practices 21st century capitalism. We've got, I can't handle that in a minute, but I hope we can get back into it later. In the rest of the world, the countries and the businesses would be working together to make this transition in an intelligent way.
Governor Clinton, you have 1 minute, sir.
We must have a transition plan to convert from a defense to a domestic economy. No other nation would have cut defense as much as we already have without that. There are 200,000 people unemployed in California alone because we have cut defense without planning to retrain them and to reinvest in the technologies of the future here at home. That is what I want to do. This administration may say they have a plan, but the truth is they have not even released all the money, the paltry sum of money that Congress appropriated. I want to take every dollar by which we reduce defense and reinvest it in technologies for the 21st century, in new transportation and communication and environmental cleanup technologies. Let's put the American people to work, and let's build the kind of high-tech, high-wage, high-growth economy that the American people deserve.
All right, the next question goes to Mr. Perot for a 2-minute answer. It will be asked by Ann. Ann?
Mr. Perot, you talked a minute ago about rebuilding the job base, but is it true what Governor Clinton just said, that means that unemployment will increase, that it'll slow the economy? And how would you specifically use the powers of the presidency to get more people back into good jobs immediately?
Step one, the American people send me up there the day after election. I'll get with the Congress. We won't even wait till inauguration. And I'll ask the president to help me, and I'll ask his staff to help me. And we will start putting together teams to take all the plans that exist and do something with them. Please understand, there are great plans lying all over Washington. Nobody ever executes. It's like having a blueprint for a house you never built. You don't have anywhere to sleep. Now, our challenge is to take these things, do something with them. Step one, you want to put America back to work, clean up the small business problem. Have one task force that work on that. The second, you've got your big companies that are in trouble, including the defense industries. Have another one on that. Have a third task force on new industries of the future to make sure we nail those for our country and they don't wind up in Europe and Asia. Convert from 19th to 21st century capitalism. See, we have an adversarial relationship between government and business. Our international competitors that are cleaning our plate have an intelligent relationship between government and business and a supportive relationship. Then have another task force on crime, because next to jobs, our people are concerned about their safety. Health care, schools, one on the debt and deficit, and finally in that 90-day period before the inauguration, put together the framework for the town hall and give the American people a Christmas present. Show them by Christmas the first cut at these plans. By the time Congress comes into session, to go to work, have those plans ready to go in front of Congress, then get off to a flying start in '93 to execute these plans. Now, there are people in this room and people on this stage who have been in meetings when I would sit there and say, is this one we're going to talk about or do something about? Well, obviously my orientation is let's go do it. Now, put together your plans by Christmas, be ready to go when Congress goes, nail these things. Small business, you've got to have capital, you've got to have credit, and many of them need mentors or coaches. And we can create more jobs there in a hurry than any other place.
Governor Clinton, 1 minute.
This country desperately needs a jobs program, and my first priority would be to pass a jobs program, to introduce it on the first day I was inaugurated. I would meet with the leaders of the Congress, with all the newly elected members of the Congress, with as many others with whom I could meet between the time of the election and the inauguration, and we would present a jobs program. Then we would present a plan to control health care costs and phase in health care coverage for all Americans. Until we control health care costs, we're not going to control the deficit. It is the #1 culprit. But first, we must have an aggressive jobs program. I live in a state where the manufacturing job growth has far outpaced the nation in the last few years, where we have created more private sector jobs since Mr. Bush has been president than have been created in the entire rest of the country, where Mr. Bush's labor secretary said the job growth has been enormous. We've done it in Arkansas. Give me a chance to create these kind of jobs in America. We can do it. I know we can.
President Bush, 1 minute.
We've got the plan announced for what we can do for small business. I've already put forward things that'll get this country working fast, some of which have been echoed here tonight. Investment tax allowance, capital gains reduction, more on research and development, tax credit for first-time home buyers. What I'm going to do is say to Jim Baker when this campaign is over, all right, let's sit down now. You do in domestic affairs what you've done in foreign affairs. Be the kind of the economic coordinator of all the domestic side of the house, and that includes all the economic side, all the training side, and bring this program together. We're going to have a new Congress, and we're going to say to them, you've listened to the voters the way we have. Nobody wants gridlock anymore, and so let's get the program through. And I believe it'll work, because as Ross said, we got the plans. The plans are all over Washington, and I've put ours together in something called the Agenda for American Renewal, and it makes sense, it's sensible, it creates jobs, it gets to the base of the kind of jobs we need, and so I'll just be asking for support to get that put into effect.
All right, the next question.